Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're taking a deep dive into the world of canine senses, specifically the incredible sense of smell of the Cane Corso. Joining me as always is expert speaker, our resident expert on all things fascinating. Expert speaker, when we talk about a dog's nose, we're talking about a whole different league of olfactory perception right now.
Absolutely. It's remarkable how much more dogs experience the world through their sense of smell compared to us.
Yeah, it's truly amazing.
Think about it. A Cane Corso has up to 300 million
300 million.
olfactory receptors
Yeah.
in their nose, while we humans, we have a measly 5 million.
Wow. Okay, so that's like what? Comparing a high-definition widescreen to a blurry old postcard. But it's not just about the quantity of sense they can detect, is it?
Right.
It's about what that means for their perception of the world.
Precisely. For a Cane Corso, the world isn't just something they see, it's something they smell in vivid detail.
Really?
Yeah. Their sense of smell is so acute, it's almost like they're tapping into a whole other dimension of information.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit. What kind of information are we talking about? I mean, I love the smell of freshly baked bread, but I can't imagine getting a whole life story from it.
You're right. They're not smelling narratives in the way we understand them, but they are picking up on subtle cues that we completely miss.
Like what?
For example, dogs can detect minute changes in hormones, which allows them to sense things like fear, stress, or even pregnancy.
That's incredible. So it's almost like their noses are giving them an emotional read on the environment and the individuals around them. It's like having a built-in sixth sense.
Exactly. And this ability to detect subtle changes in sense has some truly amazing applications in real-world scenarios. One area where Cane Corsos have really excelled is in medical detection.
You're telling me those powerful noses can actually sniff out diseases? I've heard whispers about this, but I always assumed it was more anecdotal than anything else.
It might sound like something out of science fiction, but there's a growing body of research to support it. Dogs, including Cane Corsos, have been successfully trained to detect certain types of cancer. For example, by smelling breath samples, or even just being near a patient.
Okay, now my mind is officially blown. How on earth are they doing that? What are they smelling that's telling them, hey, something's not right here?
Well, scientists believe that dogs are picking up on what are called volatile organic compounds, or VOCs, which are released by cancerous cells.
VOCs, got it. But what exactly are VOCs? Break it down for us like we're back in science class, but in a way that won't put us to sleep.
Imagine it like this. Our bodies are constantly releasing tiny invisible molecules. When there's a disruption in the body, like when cancer is present, it changes the types and amounts of these molecules being released. These are the VOCs. And dogs, with their incredible sense of smell, can detect even the slightest shifts in these VOC profiles.
So in a way, they're like walking, breathing, highly sensitive lab instruments. What's fascinating to me is that it's not just about smelling more, it's about smelling differently, detecting things we aren't even equipped to perceive. And this difference, this superpower, has such profound implications.
Absolutely. Think about the potential impact on early disease detection. If we can harness this ability, it could revolutionize medical diagnostics.
It's mind-boggling, isn't it, to think that we walk alongside these incredible creatures who are experiencing the world in a way we can barely comprehend. But as you mentioned, this superpower nose isn't just limited to medical detection, right?
Right. Cane Corsos are also renowned for their incredible abilities in other areas, particularly search and rescue.
Ah, yes. Those heroic dogs we often see on the news sniffing out survivors after disasters. That must be where their acute sense of smell truly shines.
Exactly. Imagine this. A disaster zone chaos everywhere sense, mingled with dust and debris. Yet a Cane Corso with proper training can focus on a specific scent, following it over long distances, navigating obstacles, all to find that missing person. It's nothing short of remarkable.
It's like they're unraveling a single thread in a tapestry of smells, zeroing in on their target with incredible precision. Do we know how far a Cane Corso can actually track a scent? Are we talking miles, kilometers?
It depends on various factors like wind conditions and the age of the scent, but some dogs have been known to track scents for miles.
Miles.
It's a testament to their remarkable olfactory abilities and the power of their noses.
Wow, that's truly remarkable. I'm starting to feel a little self-conscious about my own sense of smell now. It's amazing how we often take these senses for granted until we delve into their true potential. But expert speaker, before we get too carried away by the sheer wonder of it all, I have a question that's been nagging at me. With all this talk about scent trails and super sniffers, I can't help but wonder, do their noses ever get overwhelmed? I mean, if we're comparing their sense of smell to our own, it'd be like walking into a perfume factory and trying to identify every single fragrance at once.
That's a great question. And it highlights another fascinating aspect of how dogs process scents. You see, their brains are wired differently than ours. They have a dedicated olfactory bulb that's significantly larger than ours, allowing them to process smells more efficiently.
So it's not just about the nose itself, it's about the brain power behind it.
Exactly. Their brains are like high-powered processors designed specifically for olfactory information. And,
Hmm.
and here's the kicker. They can actually filter out background odors and focus on specific sense of interest.
Okay, so it's like having a built-in spam filter for their sense of smell. That makes sense. Otherwise, they'd be bombarded with sensory overload all the time.
Precisely. And this ability to filter and focus is crucial for tasks like search and rescue, where they need to hone in on a specific scent amidst a chaotic landscape of smells.
So while my nose might be stuck in a perfume factory, theirs is laser focused on finding that missing person or that crucial piece of evidence. It's like they have a whole other level of sensory awareness that we're just beginning to understand.
Exactly. And this brings us to another crucial aspect of a Cane Corso's abilities, training. Because while their nose is a powerful tool, it's the training that truly unlocks its potential.
Right, they don't just magically know what to sniff for. It's about guiding that incredible sense of smell towards specific tasks and goals.
Absolutely. Training a Cane Corso for scent work is a meticulous process. It involves teaching them to discriminate between scents, to alert their handler when they've found what they're looking for, and to follow a scent trail with precision.
It sounds like it takes a special kind of bond between the dog and their handler, a deep level of trust and communication to make it all work.
You're absolutely right. The handler needs to understand the dog's subtle body language, their way of communicating that they're on the right track. And the dog needs to trust their handler's guidance to know that they're working together as a team.
So it's a partnership, a delicate dance between two species, each bringing their unique strokes to the table. The dog with its phenomenal sense of smell, and the handler with the knowledge and training to guide that ability.
It's a beautiful example of how humans and dogs can work together, leveraging each other's strengths to accomplish incredible things.
And speaking of incredible things, I'm curious about the range of applications for this kind of scent work. We've talked about medical detection and search and rescue, but what other areas can a cane corso's nose be put to good use?
Oh, the possibilities are vast. They can be trained to detect drugs and explosives, which makes them invaluable assets for law enforcement and security agencies.
Right, those sniffer dogs we often see at airports and border crossings. It's amazing to think that they're not just randomly sniffing around, they're actually following specific scent profiles, looking for those telltale signs of danger.
Exactly. And their work extends beyond security as well. They can be trained to detect bed bugs, mold, even invasive species of plants. Their noses are literally protecting us from threats we might not even be aware of.
It's like having a whole team of tiny, highly specialized detectives working tirelessly behind the scenes, using their noses to keep us safe and sound.
And let's not forget about the more lighthearted applications. Have you ever seen those adorable videos of dogs competing in scent work
Oh,
trials?
yes. It's like watching athletes compete in the olfactory Olympics. They're so focused, so driven to follow those scent trails, and the joy on their faces when they succeed is infectious.
It just goes to show that for dogs, using their sense of smell isn't just a job. It's a source of enrichment and fulfillment. It's woven into the very fabric of their being.
It's incredible to think about the world through their noses, even if it's just for a moment. The richness of information, the depth of perception, it's truly humbling.
It certainly makes you appreciate the hidden wonders that surround us, the things we might miss if we don't stop and take a moment to appreciate the extraordinary abilities of the animal kingdom.
Well said, expert speaker. It's been an eye-opening, or should I say nose-opening experience, learning about the power of a cane corso's sense of smell. It makes you wonder, expert speaker, if we could borrow their noses for a day, what would we discover about our own homes, our neighborhoods, even our own families?
That's a thought-provoking question. It's fascinating to imagine the world through their olfactory lens. We might discover a whole hidden layer of communication of subtle cues and signals that we've been completely oblivious to.
It's like we've been watching a movie with the sound off all this time, and suddenly we're hearing the soundtrack for the first time.
Exactly. It makes you realize how much we rely on our vision as humans, often neglecting the richness of information available through our other senses. But for dogs, especially a breed like the Cane Corso, Their sense of smell is their primary way of navigating the world.
It's their superpower, their window into a world of scents that we can only imagine. And speaking of superpowers, before we wrap up our deep dive, I have one last question that's been lingering in my mind. You've painted such a vivid picture of their olfactory capabilities, but is it ever possible that their sense of smell can be well too much? Can it ever be a burden?
That's it. That's an interesting question. While their heightened sense of smell is mostly an advantage, there are instances where it might pose challenges. For example, in a chaotic environment with strong, unfamiliar odors, some dogs might become overwhelmed or stressed.
So it's all about finding the right balance, providing them with the training and support to navigate the world with their incredible noses, while also being mindful of their sensitivities.
Precisely. It's about understanding that their perception of the world is different from ours and respecting their needs accordingly.
It's a reminder that even superpowers come with their own set of considerations. Expert speaker, thank you for taking us on this incredible journey into the olfactory world of the Cane Corso. You've truly opened our noses and our minds to the hidden wonders of the canine sense of smell.
It's been my pleasure. There's always more to discover and appreciate about the remarkable abilities of our canine companions.
Listener, as we resurface from this deep dive into the world of canine scent, we'd love to hear from you. Have you ever noticed your own dog reacting to scents you couldn't even detect? It might be a subtle shift in their demeanor or a sudden burst of alertness. Share your stories with us on social media. Until next time, keep exploring the world with curiosity and an open mind. You never know what hidden wonders you might sniff out.